Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaimudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Chalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 23, verse 27. In this material world, every human being has a short span of life. But those who are engaged in devotional service go back home, back to Godhead, for they are actually on the path of liberation. For such persons, there is nothing which is not available. Anityam asukam lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. The Lord here declares that this material world is full of miseries, asukam, and at the same time is very flickering, anityam. Anityam asukam lokam imam prapya. Having got this mm, uh, material world, lokam, which is full of miseries and which is flickering, bhajasvamam, worship me. Therefore, one's only duty is to engage himself in devotional service. This is the best end to which human life can be put. Those devotees who are constantly engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord achieve not only all material benefits but also all spiritual benefits. See, the devotees also achieve material benefits, but we don't have to strive separately for that. For at the end of the life, they go back home, back to Godhead. That is a spiritual benefit. But when they are living here, they'll get material benefits. Yogakshemam Vahamyam. Krishna will take care. Whatever is required, he will give. Their destination is described in this verse as Bhagavat Padam. The word Padam means abode, and Bhagavat means the Supreme Person of Godhead. Thus, the destination of the devotees is the abode of the Supreme Person of Godhead. So we have to remember this. In this verse, the word Naishkarmyam, which means transcendental knowledge, is also significant. Unless one comes to the platform of transcendental knowledge and offers devotional service to the Lord, one is not perfect. Generally, the process of gnana, yoga, and karma are executed life after life before one gets a chance to render pure devotional service. Again, life after life, if one has executed gnana, yoga, karma, then finally, Bhavanam Janmanam Ante, one gets a chance to render pure devotion. Pure devotion, not mixed devotion, pure devotion. This chance is given by the grace of a pure devotee, and it is in this way only that one can actually attain liberation. It is the Guru. In the context of this narration, the wives of the demigods repented because although they had the opportunity of birth in a higher planetary system, a lifetime spanning millions of years and all material comfort, they were not as fortunate as Prthu and his wife, who were actually surpassing them. In other words, Prthu Maharaj and his wife scorned promotion to the higher planetary system and even to Brahma Loka because the position which they were attaining was incomparable. Brahma Lokaha Punaravartino Arjuna, from the highest planet in the material world to the lowest, all are places of misery. Punaravartito, where repeated birth and death take place. Shine Punyamarta Lokam Vishanti. Again, we come back. Naishkarmyam api achyuta bhava varjitam. Path of liberation is not at all secure unless one attains the devotional service of the Lord. So karma is useless, gnana is useless, dhyana is useless, yoga is useless until one attains devotional service. Even if one is promoted to the impersonal Brahmajyoti, he runs every chance of falling down into this material world. Okay. Any person who engages himself with this material world in performing activities that necessitate great struggle, mm, prayasa, and who, after obtaining a human form of life, which is a chance to attain liberation from miseries, liberation from miseries, mm, undertakes the difficult task of fruitive activities, must be considered to be cheated and envious of his own self. Mm. So if somebody is materially over endeavoring, why are they over endeavoring? Actually, they are over endeavoring to become free from miseries. But the only path to become free from miseries or to get liberation from miseries is devotion. Mm. So if he is not engaging seriously in devotion and is wasting his time in economic development and you know mm, active activities, etc., to protect himself from miseries, he must be considered cheated. In this material world, people are engaged in different activities simply to achieve a little success in sense gratification. That's all. Little success. It's not really big success because again, it come back again. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Karmis are engaged in performing very difficult activities. Thus, they open gigantic factories, build huge cities, make big scientific discoveries. In other words, they're engaged in performing very costly sacrifices in order to be promoted to the higher planetary systems. Similarly, yogis, gnanis. In this way, everyone is engaged in performing very difficult tasks simply for the gratification of senses. Mm. All of these are considered to be engaged in sense gratificatory activities because they all demand some facility for material existence. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavati alpamedasam. Whatever all of them are striving to achieve is little success which is also temporary. The bhaktas, however, are not interested in sense gratificatory practices. Again, bhaktas should not be interested in sense gratificatory practices. They're simply satisfied to get an opportunity to serve the Lord. Although they're satisfied in any condition, there's nothing they cannot obtain because they're purely engaged in the service of the Lord. Wives of demigods condemn the performers of sense gratificatory activities as vanchita, atmaha, man bhavabdhim na taretsa atmaha. When one wants to cross a large ocean, he requires a strong boat. It is said that this human form of life is a good boat by which one can cross the ocean of nescience. In the human form of life, one can attain the guidance of a good navigator, the spiritual master. One also gets a favorable wind by mercy of Krishna. And that wind is instructions of Krishna. Actually, wherever we see guidance, instruction, mercy, instruction, it is all instruction. But nowadays, mm, devotees think that mercy means not following instructions is mercy. Or simply, oh, just simply pray for mercy. What is pray for mercy? Pray for mercy means pray to follow instructions. What is the boat? Instructions of Lord Krishna, the favorable winds, and spiritual master is the navigator. The spiritual master knows well how to adjust the sails to catch the winds favorably and steer the boat to its destination. If however one does not take advantages of this opportunity, waste human form of life. Wasting time and life in this way is same as committing suicide. Strong. Okay. Words of vanchitaha indicate that once a person has obtained the human form of life, he is actually cheated if he does not make preparations to go back home, back to God. Great sage Maitreya continued speaking, my dear Vidura, when the wives of the denizens of heaven were thus talking all amongst themselves, Queen Archi reached the planet which her husband, Maharaja Prthu, had attained. According to Vedic scriptures, woman who dies with her husband or enters into the fire Sahagamanam. Also into the same planet her husband attains. In this material world, there's a planet known as Patiloka. Oh, just as there's a planet known as Pitruloka. Okay, you know this. But in this verse, the word Patiloka does not refer to any planet within the material universe. For Maharaja Prthu certainly returned home back to Godhead and attained one of the Vaikuntha planets. Achi also entered Patiloka, but this planet is not in the material universe. For he actually entered the planet which her husband attained. In the material world also, when a woman dies with her husband, she again unites with him in the next birth. Similarly, Maharaja Prthu and Achi united in the Vaikuntha planets. Of course, here in Vaikuntha planets, there are husbands and wives, but there is no question of their giving birth to children or having sex. Now, see, there are different things. Yesterday, Shashank Prabhu asked this question. Um, one is if suppose, if, for example, for those devotees who go to in Vaikuntha, it's okay because it's mostly Dasya Bhav. So one can go to Vaikuntha and remain husband and wife. In Goloka, if somebody only wants to serve Krishna in Vatsalya, they might, both husband and wife here, they possibly will go there as husband and wife. Possibly, I don't know, not mentioned, but I'm extrapolating from here. But if our Swarupa is different, then it will not be, yeah, we will not remain as husband and wife. In the Vaikuntha planets, both husbands and wives are extraordinarily beautiful and they're attracted to one another, but they do not enjoy sex life. Indeed, they consider sex not to be very relishable because both husband and wife are always absorbed in Krishna consciousness and in glorifying and chanting the glories of the Lord. According to Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, husband and wife can turn the home into a place as good as Vaikuntha, even while in this material world. Being absorbed in Krishna consciousness, even in this world, husband and wife can live in Vaikuntha simply by installing the deity of the Lord within the home and serving the deity according to the direction of Shastras. But this means focus on deity worship, not just installing deity and then. In this way, they will never feel the sex urge. Okay. So installing deities and serving them, Prabhupada is saying they will never feel sex urge. That is a test of advancement in devotional service. One who is advanced in devotional service is never attracted by sex life. And as soon as one becomes detached from sex life and proportionally attached to the service of the Lord, he actually experiences living in the Vaikuntha planets. In the ultimate issue, there is actually no material world, but when one forgets the service of the Lord and engages himself in the service of his senses, he is said to be living in the As soon as one becomes detached from sex life and proportionately attached to the service of the Lord, he actually experiences living in the Vaikuntha. The greatest of all devotees, Maharaja Prthu, was very powerful and his character was liberal, magnificent, and magnanimous. Thus, I have described him to you as far as possible. Sometimes, however, we see that the word Bhagavan is used for great personalities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada. This is the case with Prthu Maharaj, who is described here as the best of the Bhagavans or the best of the Lords. A person can be so addressed only if he is a great personality who exhibits extraordinary and uncommon features, or who attains the greatest goal after his disappearance, or who knows the difference between knowledge and ignorance. In other words, the word Bhagwan should not be used for ordinary persons. Hmm. Especially those people who are just materially stuck should not use the word Bhagwan. Any person who describes the great characteristics of King Pruthu with faith and determination, whether he reads or hears of them himself or helps others to hear them, is certain to attain the very planet which Maharaja Pruthu attained. Whether he reads or hears of them himself or helps others to hear of them, certainly we can attain Vaikuntha. In other words, such a person also returns home to Vaikuntha planets back to Godhead. In Shiva Purana, Lord Shiva recommends Vishnu worship to be the topmost worship, and that better than Vishnu worship is worship of the Vaishnava or anything that is related to Vishnu. Fact is explained herein that hearing and chanting about a Vaishnava is as good as hearing and chanting about Vishnu. For Maitreya has explained that anyone who hears about Prthu Maharaj also attains Vaikuntha. There is no duality between Vishnu and Vaishnava. This is called Advaya Gnana. Sakshadharitvena Samasta Shastra. Spiritual master is honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and is followed by all authorities. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the lotus feet of the spiritual master. The Supreme Vaishnava is the spiritual master and is non different from the Supreme Person of Godhead. It is said that sometimes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to chant the names of the gopis. Some of the Lord's students tried to advise him to chant the name of Krishna instead. But upon hearing this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very angry with his students. The controversy on this subject reached a point that after this incident, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to take sannyas because he was not taken very seriously in his grihastha ashrama. The point is that since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted the names of gopis, worship of the gopis or devotees of the Lord is as good as devotional service rendered directly to the Lord. It's also stated by the Lord himself that devotional service to his devotees is better than service offered directly to him. Mad bhaktya pujadhika. Sometimes the Sahajiya class of devotees are interested only in Krishna's personal pastimes to the exclusion of activities of the devotees. This type of devotee is not a very high level. Okay. So, uh, serving or worshipping devotees is as good as, in fact, Lord says, better than service offered directly to him. If one hears of the characteristics of Prthu Maharaj and is a Brahmana, he becomes perfectly qualified with Brahminical powers. If he is a Kshatriya, he becomes a king of the world. If he is a Vaishya, he becomes a master of other Vaishyas and many animals. And if he is a Shudra, he becomes the topmost devotee. This is for all other classes of people, Akama, Sarvakama. So this is Palashruti, whoever hears. Who doesn't want pure devotional, who wants pure devotional service, already it is said, they get pure devotion, they go to Vaikuntha. Then other classes of people, for them also there is benefit. Mm. It does not matter whether one is a man or woman, anyone who with great respect hears this narration will become the parent of many children if without children, become the richest if without money. So all this is, again, we should not see all this and think, okay, I will also desire all this. No, this is for people who don't want Krishna, who don't want pure devotion. Mm. Materialistic people. Mm. One simply has to read and understand the history and life of the activities of Prthu Maharaj. It is advised that one read them at least 3 times. Those who are materially afflicted will so benefit by hearing the Supreme Lord and his devotees that they need not go to any demigod. Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udariti tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Su prajatamaha, that all the children thus attained would be qualified in education, wealth, beauty, and strength, everything complete. Mm. So Palashruti. Also, one who hears this narration 3 times will become very reputable if he is not recognized in society. He'll become a great scholar if he is illiterate. In other words, hearing the narrations of Prthu Maharaj is so auspicious that it drives away all bad luck. So, yeah, just drives away all bad luck. By hearing the narration of Prthu Maharaj, one can become great, increase his duration of life, gain promotion to the heavenly planets, counteract the contaminations of this age of Kali. Okay, this is important for us. Increase duration of life also, Krishna willing. In addition, one can promote the causes of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Okay, this we don't need. Therefore, from all sides, it is advisable for a materialistic person who is interested in such things to read and hear the narration. So, somebody who is materialistic will also get benefited. If a king who is desirous of attaining victory and ruling power chants the narration of Prithu Maharaj 3 times before going forth on his chariot, all subordinate kings will automatically render all kinds of taxes unto him. Uh, Again, just continuing. So many benefits. Pure devotee who is executing the different process of devotional service may be situated in the transcendental position, being completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. But even he, while discharging devotional service, must hear, read, and induce others to hear about the character and life of Prithu Maharaj. So this is important for us. It's so important. because it is worship of a devotee, and that will please the Lord, and we will make progress in Krishna consciousness. My dear Vidura, I have as far as possible spoken the narrations about Prthu Maharaj, which enrich one's devotional attitude. Whoever takes advantage of these benefits also goes back home, back to God. The word Shravayet mentioned in a previous verse indicates that one should not only read for himself but should also induce others to read and hear. That is called preaching. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended this practice, Yare Dekha Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh. Prthu Maharaj's history of devotional service is as potent as narrations about the activities of the Supreme Lord. One should not make distinctions between the pastimes of the Lord and activities of Prthu Maharaj. And whenever it is possible, a devotee should attempt to induce others to hear about Prthu Maharaj. So this is the other thing that we've been initiating is study groups for Bhagavatam. Just come together, bunch of devotees can start reading. So our devotees, many of them who attend this class, now they started, I think, possibly, I don't know how early, maybe 6 months back, I think 6 7 months back. They are now already come in the sixth canto, which I know devotees who've taken like 5 years, 10 years to finish Bhagavatam, and these devotees are reading every day, at least 5 days a week, and they are now already in the sixth canto. So somehow we have to give opportunity for others also to hear. Mm. One should not only read of his pastimes for one's own benefit, but should induce others to read and hear about them also. In this way, everyone can be benefited. So this is Prabhupada's mood. Whoever, with great reverence and adoration, regularly reads, chants, and describes the history of Maharaj Pruthu's activities will certainly increase unflinching faith and attraction for the lotus feet of Lord. So this is also one another means by which we can increase unflinching faith. Of course, whole Bhagavatam is only meant for this. Sadyo hrudyavare sadyo hrudyavarudyate tatrkritivihi shushushubhistat kshanat. So immediately, that kshanat, immediately Lord becomes uh, manifest in the heart of the devotee who reads Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have to repeatedly, continuously keep reading. Then we will develop unflinching faith and attraction. Lord's lotus feet are the boat by which one can cross the ocean of innocence. The word Bhavasindhu Potapade. Potapade. The lotus feet of the Lord is known as Mahatpadam. This means that the total source of material existence rests on the lotus feet of the Lord. Sarvasya Prabhava. I am the master of everything. This cosmic manifestation, which is compared to an ocean of nescience, is also resting on the lotus feet of the Lord. As such, this great ocean of nescience is minimized by a person who is a pure devotee. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord need not cross over the ocean, for he has already crossed it by virtue of his position at the Lord's lotus feet. By hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord or the Lord's devotee, one can become firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is the reason why we have to read Srimad Bhagavatam. This position can also be achieved very easily by narrating the history of the life of Prthu Maharaj regularly every day. The word Vimukta Sangaha is also significant in this connection. Because we associate with the three qualities of material nature, our position in this material world is full of dangers. But when we engage in the devotional service of the Lord by the process of Shravanam and Kirtanam, we immediately become Vimukta Sangha or liberated. This ends the 23rd chapter. With this, we finish Prthu Maharaj episode. So then we'll decide what are the next. Okay. There are no questions, comments. Start reading today.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, question, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah, so Prabhu, I mean, again, regarding that conclusion of this chapter, right, or this episode. So we said, I mean, because I mean, on one sense we say Bhagavatam Amalam Puranam,
Yeah.
okay, and then and other from other sense, I mean, Krishna is saying Traigunya Vishya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhavajuna, right? So basically, but I mean, how do we consider Bhagavatam? Where does Bhagavatam fall in that Traigunya Vishya Veda? I mean, is it also about
It's
uh,
transcendental.
transcendental, right, Prabhu?
Yeah.
But I mean, in the conclusion, it says, if you read it, you get these benefits.
Yeah.
So
If you
so
worship
how do we
Supreme Lord
understand
also,
that, Prabhu?
Yeah, if you worship Supreme Lord also, you'll get material benefits, no?
Okay, okay.
So getting material benefits is nothing to do with the object of worship. Object of worship is transcendental, but we are so foolish that we want material benefits. Who else will give us material benefits anyway, apart from the Supreme Lord?
Correct, correct.
Doesn't mean that the
I mean,
Supreme Lord
but is it
becomes.
recommendable, Prabhu? Because if this statement, if it is said in Bhagavatam like this, if let's say if someone is struggling or
Yeah, yeah, they
been
can read.
having kids, can we recommend?
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
you can
absolutely.
read this. Hmm?
Absolutely, we can. I mean, see, akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradi. That's why whatever desire, that is the reason. See, the beauty about coming to Krishna is that
Mm-hmm.
um, those who have material desires, their material desires will be fulfilled and then they'll become purified. So yena kyana prakarena, somehow we can bring people, but it's not a very recommended approach to use for preaching. We don't go and say you'll get material benefits, come to Krishna. We should not say. But
Yes, yes.
somebody is in like very deep distress, sometimes
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like this can be given. But
Recommended.
also see, it depends on their faith. It depends
Yeah.
on their faith. It's not like generally it'll work, right? But if they have faith, if they really surrender to the Lord, then they're already a devotee, right? Because they can't
Hmm.
just come and read this just like some story.
Correct,
For
correct. I
that
mean, they
person,
kind of somehow connected, right? So they are like spiritually inclined. But I'm just saying, can we
yeah, if
recommend
they're
them to
little
read
spiritually
this? Yeah.
inclined, I mean, we have to see, Prabhu. I mean, I generally don't take this approach of recommending anything Bhagavatam chanting to say it will help you from your
Mm-hmm.
material problems, because
Okay,
we don't know
okay.
what Krishna
Because
wants, right?
because if it, that doesn't work out, then they
Yeah, yeah,
may
then
try
that's a
to turn
problem.
away. Okay,
So
okay,
there
okay.
might be so many things
Yeah.
involved, right?
Uh-huh.
So if they
Correct, correct.
sincerely we actually come to Krishna, Krishna himself will fulfill.
Okay, bro.
And but Krishna will fulfill only if it is good for them. So that's the thing. So yeah, better not to take this material benefit approach.
Okay, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Anybody? Okay, we'll close here. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Pranam.
Hare